Happy New Year! Thanks for watching this episode, IndustrialSage. We're very excited about this. We're kicking off 2018. There's so many great things that are going to be going on. And so what we wanted to do in this episode, we've put together some major considerations that you're going to be looking at for your digital marketing as you roll into this year. There's a lot of things going on. As you know, that the industry changes. There's all kinds of software and different things out there. So there's 5 key things that you're going to want to take into consideration for your digital marketing plans this year. Now, I'm sure it's 2018. We've started. I'm sure a lot of you have put these plans together back in Q4. Some of you maybe you haven't, but we can adjust to that. So let's look at this. The first thing that is going to be really, really critical in 2018, and this honestly hasn't really changed. This has been kind of a recurring theme, and that is video. Video is king. All right. Cisco, for example, they are projecting that the global internet traffic from video will make up about 80% of all internet traffic by 2019. So if you think about that, I mean, if you think about your Netflix, for example, or your YouTube, all that, people really like consuming video content. It's very engaging. It's very effective. It's a way that you're able to really communicate your message more so than, let's say, reading a white paper, for example. People just, for the reality of it is they just don't really read anymore, but they'll watch a video. Let's take a white paper, for example. Let's say you have a white paper on your website. It's really hard to tell how much of that type of content that your prospects and your leads and your subscribers there are consuming. You can look at the download, but you can't tell, okay, well, they actually read half of this white paper. But in a video, you can totally do that, and that's amazing. That's awesome. So you're able to take that data, be able to make better decisions and get an understanding of what type of content is working better, maybe areas inside that content. So that's just one of the many, 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 many reasons why video is going to be a really big deal in 2018. Another reason, and what we're seeing, this is going to be an incredibly hot trend that we're going to see through 2018, and I predict it's going to go through 2019 before it really gets mainstream. And that's really using video inside the sales process. So everyone's pretty familiar, with the funnel and making sure that you can put video in there and having it in the different stages, so your top of funnel type content, middle, bottom, all that good stuff. But we're seeing this, we're going to be able to take it a step further and really use sales enablement tools to get the video content into the hands of your sales force, not just marketing. Get it into the hands of your sales force to actually be able to use that content throughout that sales process is going to be huge. We're already seeing it right now. So for example, imagine where you've got a product video that a salesperson can take and be able to send that very easily without having to go dig for links on YouTube and all that stuff. They can easily, inside their email platform, send a video to a prospect, and they can watch it right then and there. And then that salesperson gets analytics back saying, hey, guess what? This prospect that you just met at a trade show, they just watched this video 3 times and they watched 100% of it. Critical information. That's why video in 2018 is really going to continue to be king. And if it's not something that you're doing right now, you need to really consider making that change this year. So let's move on to number 2. Number 2 is micro moments. Now, what is a micro moment? Now, this is kind of going to be in the same vein of video. So these are going to be more important than ever. Now, because why we said the video is going to be king in 2018 or continue to continue that reign, we've got analytics. The analytics tells us that the shorter, more engaging type video content really is a lot more effective. So videos that are under 5 minutes in length can really account for 55% of total video consumption, particularly on a smartphone. We're also seeing that 96% of people will reach for their smartphone when they're researching a new topic. So a couple key things there. If you're looking at a smartphone, it's got to be short content. Think about a screen size. So you've got a screen back here, a big TV. You can put big graphics and things on here. When you're looking on a phone, it's kind of a little bit smaller, so you need to have a better consideration there. And also, obviously, in the runtime. So making sure that video content you have there, let's say on a social, for example, you're going to want to make sure that's they're going to be a little bit shorter. You don't want super long. That's not to completely exclude longer form content, but overall, shorter content is going to be better. So let's move on to number 3. This is personalized content. So personalized content, we're going to see this as really just outstripping the unpersonalized. So really, what is personalized content? Well, let's think about it. For example, one really key example is dynamic landing pages, for example, where let's say you have 3 different verticals that you're targeting. You have healthcare, you have automotive, and I'm going to pick another vertical, financial. Okay, for manufacturing, maybe financial might not be there, but whatever. We're going to roll with it. So making sure that when somebody from the healthcare sector comes to a landing page for a product or service that you're selling, that all that content on that landing page is going to be speaking to that audience. So it's really speaking to that persona and that development that I know we talk about all the time, making sure that content is correct for them. And so you've got language that is going to be familiar with that healthcare prospect. And versus on that same exact page when you've got somebody coming from automotive, that guess what? All the content on that landing page is going to be a little bit more personalized to them. That's going to speak to that audience and speak to that persona. So good examples are healthcare. You've got an image of a doctor in a lab coat versus automotive, maybe somebody behind the wheel of a car. And so it's images, it's the text, it's the content, it's the different types of words that you might use to really speak to that audience, really driving in that personalization. The other area inside personalization is drilling down even further and using like people's names in email communications, where you can actually take that and scale it. Creating like personalized video content is a really big thing. There's several different areas of that where you're able to take the person's name, put that into an actual video, kind of create a story where you're able to pull that in. You're going to see a lot higher engagement there. Now, according to Vidyard, which is a video hosting and analytics platform we're partners with, they say the average retention rate for personalized videos is about 35% higher than for non-personalized videos. So if you think about that for a second, you put somebody's name in there, something that's going to be meaningful to them. So let's say their name, some relevant contact information, their company, or even the vertical, the sector that they work in. Making that messaging really targeted and really personalized to them is really going to increase that rate. It just makes sense. Back to that sales enablement piece where I talked about earlier in the video, that's another area of being able to personalize that experience where we're seeing huge rates. So for example, we'll create a video that we'll send to a prospect or a leader, could be a customer. We'll write their name like on a dry erase board to create a thumbnail when we send that video over to somebody. And the rates are they're huge because you see your name pop up on that thumb and you say, wow, this is really interesting. They got me. So kind of out the gate, well, this isn't just some canned prefabbed message that they sent to 10,000 people. This looks like something that they sent just to me. I think I'm going to look at that. So that is that's a big consideration you're going to look at, considering that you have personalized videos are 16 times more likely to be opened and clicked in email campaigns. So think about that. All right, number 4, chatbots. Now this is really interesting. We're seeing this to be growing in popularity. And now, what is a chatbot? Let's say you go to a website and you're looking at something, and all of a sudden you hear like this ding ding, like this little noise comes up, and then in the bottom right or bottom left or somewhere on the screen, typically the bottom right corner, this little dialog box pops up, and it's maybe a picture of somebody's face, and it says, "Hey, thanks for jumping on our website. Is there anything I can help you with?" And so what they're seeing is there's some stats, like HubSpot, for example, says that 48% of consumers would rather connect with a company through a live chat than any other means of contact, and 55% of consumers are interested in interacting with a business that uses messaging apps to solve a problem. So if you step into that user perspective, step in their mind for a second, you go to that website, it sometimes can be cumbersome and it's kind of annoying. You're not ready necessarily to pick up the phone and start a conversation because you might be a little worried that, okay, well now they're going to call me a million times, or I don't want to send an email because now I'm going to get on this long nurture program or something. I'm not quite ready to jump in that, but I've got a quick question that I want to ask somebody. Well, that's where you're able to use some of that anonymity, big word there that I probably botched. I have a hard time saying that word. But that creates a quick answer, be able to get that information quickly. And that's why we're starting to see that use to be a little bit more mainstream, and people are really starting to like it. So think about that for 2018. Now the last area, number 5, this is a big one, and I really do like this, is that native ads are going to be increasingly preferred over non-native ads. So what does that mean? Native ads versus non-native. Okay, so native ads, let's say for example, in a media outlet, let's say you're working with an industry magazine that you have advertisement through, which you pick one. So packaging world, automation world, whatever. native content is going to be in an article, for example, let's say they're talking about supply chain optimization, and there's a tool or there is some sort of content that really speaks to what is going on in that article. It could be a download that's a download our calculator for supply chain optimization calculation on XYZ. You can name that, or maybe it's a case study relative to how one of your customers was able to help solve their challenge or reduce their overall spend. Something that really fits into that story, that article that's being there. That's considered native. Now, non-native would be, let's say, a banner ad that you have in the top of that same exact page that says, hey, we are XYZ company and we can do all the most amazing things. Click here to learn more about us. That's not necessarily speaking to what's going on inside that content of that article. So that's considered non-native. So again, let's think about why might that be more important to go more native versus non-native. Well, if you look at the behavior of people on websites and you look at what is working in marketing, it's really all about creating relevant content that really helps your prospect or helps your customers. So if supply chain optimization from cost optimization is important to them, creating content or marketing pieces that really helps them to solve their challenge is going to be really helpful. So a good example is maybe you have a comparison of the different types of solutions there may be out there. So again, this is helping them in their challenge. So according to Business Insider, spending on native advertising in the United States is likely going to reach $21 billion by 2018 and will drive about 74% of all ad revenue by 2021. And then also another stat, according to HubShout, 85% of Americans don't mind native ads, but they feel that their browsing experience is hindered by non-native ads. So, if you look at that, there's like 30% of Americans would rather visit a dentist than see non-native ads. Why non-native? Again, it can be a little bit disruptive. It doesn't necessarily flow with why somebody might be there looking at that article on that supply chain cost management optimization. But that content that fits into it, that helps them, and that's good. So that's why you're going to see that to be increasing there, and that's something you're going to want to be thinking about for all your digital marketing. And that's honestly really kind of aligns with everything out. It's creating that relevant content, providing value. That's not necessarily super salesy. That's probably a really good way of explaining that. So there you go. That's our top 5 considerations that you should be really looking at and considering for 2018. There's a lot of things going on, and we're going to continue to update this throughout the year as well. There's new technologies comes out, different trends and different things there. But hopefully you'll be able to take away something important. Take one little nugget away and be able to adjust your strategy and adjust some of the execution that you're going to be putting out here in this year. Get excited about this year. We got a lot of other topics that are going to be coming in. We're going to be talking about all kinds of different things. There's the big topic of net neutrality. We're going to put together an episode on that, talk about that, like why as a marketer you might need to be looking at that or what considerations you're going to be looking at. We're going to be having more interviews with different companies and different marketers such as yourselves and understanding their stories on how they've made that transition from tradition over to digital and go from there. So like always, if you have any questions or any particular challenges you're facing, please reach out to us. You can reach us at industrialsage.com/questions. We'd love to answer your questions. And we'd also ask, hey, share this with somebody. If there's somebody that you work with, your coworkers or friends, we'd love you to share this content, get in there, subscribe. We're on iTunes. If you haven't subscribed to iTunes, we'd love to see you there. And as always, thanks so much for watching this episode. And I will catch you next week. Thanks.